The mistake I have seen us young people do is to accept whatever we hear and believe in everything. It is with these words of Samawise Bangura, I welcome you all to the 10th edition of course, the Antiglossophobia, reaching here live on Multimedia Plus online television, and of course our Facebook page, the Antiglossophobia Academy. I am your host, Augustine Martinez. In today's course, the Antiglossophobia, the topic is the big question to why public speaking. Why public speaking is a topic, and I'm having a guest. The guest for this 10th edition is a renowned TV personality who is an award-winning broadcaster. And also he is a communication and public relations expert, a motivational speaker and a debater. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you Mr. Samuel Wise Bangura, one of Sierra Leone's finest speaker. Good day, Mr. Wise, and welcome to Quest at the Antiglossophobia, here live on Multimedia Plus online television. It is with great pleasure having you here today.
I'm humbled to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much. And of course, today's topic is why public speaking. The big question to why public speaking is why Mr. Samuel Wise Bangura is here today to lament on the said topic. To start with, the very first question has to do with the big question that I stated earlier on, why public speaking. People out there might be wondering, why do I have to get myself engaged in any public speaking activities? You know, and also one must be wondering, I'm going to school, I don't think I have anything to do with public speaking, or I'm in the science faculty, or probably I'm reading accounting, I don't have anything to do with public speaking. Now the big question to why public speaking, Mr. Wise, why public speaking?
Why public speaking? If we go back in 2004, there was this sociologist, Andrew Zekeri. According to him, oral communication skills were the very first skills that you would want to grab as soon as you leave college, or even whilst you're in college, because that defines what you're going to do in the universe from the university. Okay. So I think it speaks to the fact that its importance, its relevance, cannot be overemphasized, in the sense that it takes public speaking for you to know what you want, okay, for you to be able to tell what you want, for you to be able to show what you want. So I always tell people public speaking is something no one can do without, because even if you've not used to be standing on the stage speaking, telling people what to do or how to do things, going along the line someday you would definitely have to propose to a woman, and when that moment comes, you're going to do it in public. So it takes public speaking for you to muscle up the courage to even propose to a woman, and it takes even public speaking for a woman to profess love to someone she does love. So public speaking is something we cannot do without. We cannot do without it.
If you can vividly retrospect, on my first edition I did mention that public speaking is said to be an oratory or oration, wherein as you have to utilize the act of speaking to either an individual or also speaking to people, to be precise. It can also be you having a conversation from your heart about something you're authentically passionate about. That is why Mr. Wise is here to tell you why you need public speaking. Okay. And also another question here says that, do you think public speaking can boost one's career advancement?
If it can boost, I think I must put it this way. It makes, or it enhances your career advancement. That's what public speaking does. Because if even, let's take the art stream out of this conversation for a moment. And let's go to medicine. You cannot be a good medical doctor if you cannot interpret what medicine is all about, and that is a form of public speaking. You can never be a good businessman if you cannot convince your customer, your clients. That's public speaking. You cannot be a good abacha trader if you do not know how to just lobby around and bargain well. In terms of prices and the quality of your product, so that you can sell. So public speaking makes it possible for your career to be advanced, and it makes it possible for you to enhance and optimize that potential in you in whatever field you are in.
Now let's take for an instance these two gentlemen, The one is very much brilliant but have no interest in doing public speaking, and the other one is not that too brilliant but is very much hardworking and have so much passion in public speaking. So they happens to employ both of them. Yeah. Then the one of them actually that I said is passionate about doing public speaking was given an opportunity to be advanced in doing his career higher position, while the one who is smart and brilliant think that, oh, I'm brilliant, with my brilliance I can do whatever I think I want. But at the end of the gentleman who is more passionate about public speaking is well known now in the company and has been representing the company in other business, international relations and all. So you see, these are some of the relevance of public speaking as well. If I can draw your attention again to another question, do you think public speaking should be added as a module in university or probably added to the syllabus in schools? How relevant would that be if that be the case?
The fact that we're talking about how we can bring out oratory skills in pupils and students, that alone makes it imperative upon the authorities to ensure that we're able to include that as a module or a subject at secondary level or university level. For the simple fact, with just the analogy you've given, the fact that you have two good guys, one is good and very bold to come out, and the other is very brilliant but not bold and not able to speak up. It happens in the workplace even today. You see brilliant people who are the doers of things, but they are not being recognized because they cannot articulate what they do, but they can just practice and all of that. And it makes it very odd that people who talk, people who go out and speak, they are easily recognized for things they do. So imagine if we can imbibe that culture at the secondary or primary school level, and you've started getting that confidence, getting that self-esteem of you having the power to express yourself freely, of you having the power to do research and try to share that knowledge with colleagues, with school authorities, with parents, with Sierra Leone as a whole. Now you can imagine where would that take Sierra Leone? Because over the years, what we've seen a learning environment where pupils are afraid to even speak in the classroom, where students are even intimidated to speak in the lecture room. So if you now come and tell them, okay, this is a must. Now, if you're going to study this, you start giving them the skills. They start acquiring those skills. And by the time they approach the NPSC, then the educational system of this country would have been transformed. So it's imperative at this point in time that we have to include public speaking in our school curriculum. It makes absolute sense if we are to transform Sierra Leone's education.
Okay, good. Public speaking has been a fiasco in many facets of society. There are thousands of people out there who cannot stand in front of people and talk just because they are struggling with the fear of public speaking, which is otherwise known as glossophobia. And the world's population is approximately 7.8 billion, and we have 75% of this population that is extremely suffering or struggling with the fear of public speaking. That is why the Antiglossophobia is here to vanquish all facets of anxiety and dread. I'm having here Mr. Wise Bangura, and we are discussing on the topic, why public speaking? Why public speaking? The big question to why public speaking. Again, another question here says that we are celebrating the International Youth Day, and we get to understand that there are a lot of youth who, one way or the other, want their voice to be heard. Do you think public speaking can be an effective tool in enhancing that?
I think it's the only tool to enhance that. It's the only tool to enhance that. Now, let's put this into context. You have many youth out there who are so aggrieved, who are so dissatisfied, they are so disgruntled owing to the fact that society is not treating them well. But how can they pass on that message? How can they pass the information out that we are not happy, we're not in a good state of mind as a result of X, Y, Z, of things happening? So what they would do, they would then translate what they should have put into words into violence. And that is what is affecting society today. Now imagine if I have something happening. If my girlfriend is not treating me right, then I have to sit down and I have to talk to her. And I have to voice it out. If I have a system, like for example, a governance system.
Okay.
It's not providing the required platform for young people to
express themselves.
maximize their potential.
Okay.
Then I have a problem with that. I have a platform to voice that out. The government is not doing this, is not doing that, is not doing things like this. I do not have to keep it inside until it reaches a point that I have to explode, and that goes into violence. So the only tool for young people to honestly enhance their potential is public speaking. You must be able, like you mentioned earlier, it's not necessarily you have to be on the stage addressing people at the national stadium, for example. That's not just what public speaking is all about. Public speaking is a skill that gives you an opportunity to be able to express yourself without fear.
Sure.
But you do you have to talk what you feel. It has to come from the heart. And when you talk about fear, I was following Joel Austin. He is a preacher. Joel Austin once said he had a guy, when he was a public speaking coach, he had a guy who was so afraid of coming out to speak. And so he told the guy walked up to him and told him that he wanted to be a public speaker. And according to him, his aim or ambition was to transform 20,000 people to be public speakers. This is somebody who is afraid to speak publicly, but has an ambition
like that. Okay,
so,
interesting.
And Joel was like, you're afraid of this and you want to be an agent for this. And so what Joel did, Joel said, okay, you know what, I'll give you the basics, but the rest is up to you. So Joel trained him. And the guy today is one of the most renowned public speakers in America.
Wow.
The guy goes state to state, even political programs.
Wow.
He's been asked to go and do public speaking to even inspire generations that we feel they are out of this world.
Wow.
Transforming minds to the now generation. So it tells you, no matter what you feel you're going through, no matter the lack of confidence or self-esteem, so long as you have that fire burning in you, you should be able to do public speaking, because one way or the other, you have to do it. You must do it.
So at some point in your life, you will definitely need public speaking. And public speaking must be utilized as an effective tool in changing the world, as it spread revolutionary ideas like wildfire. So as we continue the discussion on the big question, why public speaking? You might be wondering, why public speaking? Why should I get myself engaged in public speaking? You know, there are a lot of things you will benefit doing public speaking. Taking into cognizance again, do you think one can utilize public speaking to, how should I say, to boost knowledge, or how should I say, to demonstrate your knowledge?
The answer to that is definitely yes. Now, let me tell you, for example, I served as the president for Debating Council. And that led me to becoming the Minister of Information at the Students' Union government.
Wow, amazing.
And definitely that took me to becoming a presidential candidate.
Amazing.
And so I contested the election as a result of me realizing that public speaking was the only tool I could have used. And I did use it, and it took me to a point in my academic life that I ordinarily would not have achieved. And so what public speaking does, it gives you the confidence that you know your stuff, you know what you're going to talk about, because before coming on that stage to talk, you must have done your research pretty well. And you only do your research through reading, sourcing out other materials for you to be empowered to come and talk. And now what that does, ordinarily when you read, it broadens your horizon. Ordinarily when you do research, it gives you more knowledge. It opens your brain, your mindset. So for me, I always say, when you research and do public speaking, you are liberating yourself from parochial thinking or that naivety. So it's like liberation. You are liberated from the darkest point to bringing you to the center of light. And the center of light is where life is. And that's where you know what you want to become. That is where you want to know how to get to where you want to go. That is where you get to achieve the things or the goals you've set out to achieve. And you can only do so with knowledge. And knowledge comes with research. Research is a tool for public speaking.
Okay.
So you cannot downplay the importance of public speaking in life.
Okay. See, and one of the things that is affecting some people when it comes to public speaking, the greatest thing to be precise, has to do with nervousness. They have the fixed mindset that, oh, I'm going to be embarrassed in public, or I don't even want to go there when it comes to public speaking, or perhaps when I get to say something I will mistake and people will laugh at me. Have you ever faced stage fright before? Have you ever been embarrassed on stage before? Interesting. I know.
Very interesting.
I know.
And here is the thing. The fact is, you would never, ever get rid of that nervousness. You would never ever get rid of it. So, and this is the thing. When you as you get along. For example, if I have to do a talk here, and I come here, and perhaps 20,000 people, wow,
huge.
Maybe the biggest crowd I've ever stood before to speak. And it's natural for you to be nervous. It's natural for you to be frightened. It comes with nature. But you overcome that nervousness, you overcome that frightened nature when you begin to speak and the people resonate well with the message you're giving them. You also have to understand that you have to understand the people you are engaging. That's the best form of communication. If you do not know or understand your audience, you would never be a better communicator. So understanding your audience, getting them involved in the conversation makes it very easier for you to be relaxed on stage. Makes it as if you're having a conversation, a normal conversation with people, but passing on something very useful in a very confident manner. So that's it. You will never get rid of it. It is always there. But when you get on that stage, understanding your audience, you feeling your audience, and the audience gets to realize the fire in you and that you guys are having that conversation, then it fades. It fades.
Little by little.
Yeah.
Which means nervousness is said to be a psychological reaction. If you do feel your heart pounding, elevated heartbeats, you having sweaty palms, or you're unnerving, it is something normal for each and every human being. But as a public speaker, you can navigate such. As he just said, you need to get to know your audience, know your material. By so doing, you'll be able to captivate the audience and also keep them on track. And the nervousness will definitely be minimized, and you'll be able to vanquish it little by little. Public speaking is interesting as well. It's very much interesting. And you've just heard that in order for you to make it in this life, if you want to succeed in this life, you must utilize public speaking as a very important tool in reaching out your goal and becoming successful in this life. So very lastly, let's see how we close down from this part. Now, as a renowned TV personality who have faced several audiences before, you might have one way or the other have your own techniques in doing public speaking. Before public speaking, after public speaking, during public speaking, some of the things you take into cognizance in order for you to give a very beautiful speech. Can you please help the masses out there on how we can utilize some of your techniques you can use personally in becoming a very good speaker? So advice
All right, let me share. I think it was in 2017. I was in the US, and I had the opportunity to do a presentation to colleague journalists from across the world, every continent. I had that opportunity. Now, it was the biggest stage for me to watch. Here in Sierra Leone, I have contested university debate and all of that, but I mean, meeting people for the very first time from different backgrounds, different cultures, even with the issue of language barrier and things like that. Then when I was told that these are the people you're going to be addressing, I went back and I was like, how am I going to ensure that? Because what you have to keep in mind, some of the people you'll be addressing are more intelligent people. Some of the people they are smart. They perhaps know better, but perhaps what you have that they do not have is you. And how do you bring you out? Is the thing. How do you bring you out to them? It makes the difference. Now, with that thought in mind, I went back and I had to do a whole lot of research.
Research.
I researched the whole night, and I came back and I was like, my topic was how because on the election,
Okay.
how are we planning to cover the 2018 election? And
Okay.
I was like, so I went. But I asked the question. So instead of I wanted to get myself out, I wanted to be the Samuel on that stage.
Okay.
So I came out. My very first statement was a question.
Okay. Interesting.
Was a question, and I asked the question, and I got responses. So I had to feed on the responses from them.
Okay.
So sometimes you go to an audience, you do not understand the audience. How do you get yourself to know or understand your audience? Is by giving them the first bite.
Okay.
So that was what I did. I gave them the first bite. I asked them the question. They started responding, and when they were responding, I was putting my thoughts together from the responses that were coming in, and then I had to do my presentation. So even what I had prepared before me going on that stage, I killed it. I couldn't do it. I had to get things from there.
Exactly. Okay.
2018, I did the same thing in Nigeria.
Okay.
I wasn't here when the presidential results were announced. I was in Nigeria.
Okay.
Immediately after we covered the election, I booked to go do presentation in Nigeria.
Yeah.
I did. Well, in Nigeria, of course, there are so many similarities between Sierra Leone and Nigeria. So I was able to do so. But you can imagine when you were not told that you were going to address state governors and members of the Senate.
Okay.
And you start feeling, wow. Then it's, for me now, I had an advantage. It brings to me the feeling of, oh, you've interviewed even somebody in the highest office in your country.
Okay.
Just do that, what you've been doing. So I had to again start asking questions about legislations in regards to what I was going to present. So they told me. And so what I ended up doing was me teaching instead of... So it was, for me, I think first off, you have to understand your subject matter.
Okay.
Don't joke with that. You have to understand it. You have to ensure that you read well. Do your research. Don't joke with that.
Okay.
And when you come on that stage, try to understand your audience and make your presentation a conversation.
Okay.
It must be conversational.
Okay.
Don't just go there as if you are the know-it-all.
Okay.
These are the things you should do. This is how I've done it. Yes, this is how you've done it. But also ask them, how have they done it?
Okay.
Or how do they think they can do it?
Okay.
And then they feel like, oh, they can connect with you. It's only when you have that connection with your audience. That's the best time you would understand that what you're doing is needed. Otherwise, there's no point for you being there because people will be sleeping. People will be on their phones, uninterested in whatever you're saying. So make them feel part of the conversation. Otherwise, I'm afraid you will not achieve your purpose.
Okay, amazing. You know, there are a lot of things he said in which I did mention in my previous edition. If you have been following up so far, you see, you need to get to know your material. You need to know your audience. By so doing, you'll be able to tackle your presentation or your public speaking very well. It is indeed amazing having you here today, and I have learned a lot with your stories, your experience. All of these have taught me a great lesson. And also, one of the key things I learned from you is that the question, anyways. In my previous edition, I did mention some of the way in which you should start a public speaking, and one of them we are question, you know, and you have just manifested that you can start your public speaking or speech with a question. By so doing, you'll be able to get yourself connected with the audience, and you will have a very beautiful presentation. Thank you so much for coming through, and we have learned a lot from you. And of course, the audience wants to know you, to ask one. I'm asking the question on behalf of the audience now. Anyways, it's gonna be a very last one. You know, do you think public speaking can be an effective tool to change narrative for young people as we're celebrating the International Youth Day?
Yeah, public speaking. I think, for the lack of better words to say that public speaking is the ultimate tool for young people to achieve whatever they are set out to achieve. I would want to say public speaking puts me where I am today. Okay. Now, amazing. Take notes. When amongst journalists from across the world, when I went to the US, I had the opportunity to meet with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Wow,
I had
amazing.
the opportunity to meet with the chairman for the Republican Party in California, State Sean Steele. I
Okay.
met with Senator Leon of the Democrats. Now,
Okay.
what puts me ahead of others on the edge is the fact that I was able to demonstrate some amount of confidence
Okay.
in my approach to them. I do not come along as someone who is coming to ask you for something,
Okay.
somebody who needs an handout.
Okay.
I was there to share and
Okay.
get ideas.
Okay.
So because I went there in that capacity, I was able to actually meet with those guys, and what came out of them was like, how comes people like here in Sierra Leone and not much is known about Sierra Leone? So that was a challenge.
Wow.
It was a challenge. How do we get Sierra Leone on the map? And that's as a result of public speaking. So be you a lady or a gent, whatever you want to achieve today, then you should have started public speaking tomorrow. But
Sure.
better late than never. You can still start now
Amazing.
and put yourself on that stage and get things done, because that's the best way you can express yourself, that you can tell the world that you are a better lawyer, you're a better doctor, you're a better accountant. So people, normally when we were going to school, people say, public speaking, debates, commercial streamer.
Yeah, I'm not getting
I'm not
to it.
being I'm
Yeah.
not to Atman.
Okay.
Really? How can you be a better accountant if you cannot tell, if you cannot show how you do reconciliation?
Sure.
And when it comes to accountability, how do you do that thing if you cannot
Sure,
explain?
sure.
How are you going to? And we have accountants who are booked today all over the country, all over the
Sure.
world, to go and teach, to go and give lessons and
Sure,
share experience.
sure.
And if you've not done that, if you were waiting for those who are in the art stream, I'm afraid, would you get that platform? Would you get that opportunity?
Never.
No.
Never.
So public speaking is for everybody, especially us, the young people.
Sure.
Let's take advantage of this tool that's available. And it's so simple now for you to learn the basics, because there is what I call the free Global University, YouTube. There are a whole lot of materials
Sure,
there.
sure.
Just go get yourself acquainted with the skills and techniques and build on them. And there are a whole lot of other people like Augustine who can help to guide and sharpen your skill in the area of public speaking. So it's a must if you want to achieve whatever you want to achieve in this life.
Okay.
Mistakes, they are part of our nature as humans. Now, if you do not make mistakes, it means you're not a human. So nobody is perfect. Nobody is perfect. You can never get what you want to get 100%. But that effort you put into addressing things, and sometimes that's the mistake we make. We feel like we must master even the language English. We must master it before we are able to communicate. No, that's not it. What's important, and this is what communication is all about. If I understand you and you're understanding me, that's communication.
Sure.
Don't just tell me. And sometimes again, us the debaters, we feel like it's when we blow grammars, it's when we use the words, that's public speaking, that's debates. No. If you're telling me, if you're bringing all the jargons and I do not understand any of them, you're not telling me anything.
Absolutely.
So make the mistakes, go on the stage, make the mistakes. It's part of life, and you learn and grow from those mistakes.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was a very beautiful advice. I believe the audience as well will take that into cognizance. This is how we draw out the curtains of this edition of Coached, the Antiglossophobia, reaching here live on Multimedia Plus online television, and of course our Facebook page, the Antiglossophobia Academy. I have been your host, Augustine Martinez. Thank you so much.